بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Lillahi tabarak wa ta'ala. Inshallah, we're going to continue in our book, A Blessed Valley. We reached up to page 165. Bismillah, let us recite Al-Fatiha to the soul of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the righteous and noble people from his lineage. Al-Fatiha. Bismillah, go ahead.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. The author, may Allah Ta'ala have mercy on him, said, Sheikh Imam Muhammad ibn Abdullah al-Aidarus al-Alawi, Rahimahullah, may Allah Ta'ala spread his benefit, made a thorough study of this subject in his book, Asrar Ulum al-Muqarrabin. He says, as for these supernatural events which resemble karamat but are wrought by people who are not known to possess the attributes of the virtuous, who make large claims and say reprehensible things that are unlike the pattern of the virtuous, these are but trials and temptations which are no proof in their favor, for there are criteria known by astute people of understanding that supernatural events can be measured against. Thus, sometimes such events are attributed to devils, as is known of the activities of soothsayers who ally themselves to the devils with whom they share similar dispositions, and they inform them of unseen things. Sometimes supernatural events may be attributed to knowledge of the magical powers of letters and numbers, which is a forbidden science similar to magic that certain people devoid of religion delve into. They fast and abandon licit things such as meat and other things to achieve some kind of unveiling and acquire certain powers of this world. This is a temptation and a trial with which Allah Ta'ala tests his servants when he will. This kind of unveiling and supernatural events that outwardly resemble the karamat of the virtuous may sometimes be exhibited by certain monks as well as the idolaters of India and are entirely unrelated to religion, but are things that happen either, as we mentioned, or with people who undergo a severe fast in dark rooms, for excessive hunger and mortification of the soul gives it certain powers over things. Such phenomena, although strange and wondrous, are unrelated to religion in the sight of Allah Ta'ala the Exalted, and are of no benefit, but may be of harm. For he has said, may Allah Ta'ala's blessings and peace be upon him and his family, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, every invented thing is an innovation, and every innovation is an error, and every error is in the fire.
Which is every innovation that contradicts the foundational principles of the Quran and the Sunnah and the scholarly consensus is a blameworthy innovation that is to be rejected.
Protracted hunger is a major factor in these things, and it is forbidden. For he has said, may Allah Ta'ala's blessings and peace be upon him and his family, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Every act that contradicts our pattern is to be rejected, and beware of fasting without interruption. Beware of fasting without interruption. Beware of fasting without interruption. How can these phenomena be equated with karamat when they occur only through prohibited things, while karamat occur to superior and virtuous people who adhere to the sunnah and perform supererogatory deeds in abundance, thus becoming a suitable locus for the manifestation of divine gifts?
So we mentioned that the karamat is only considered when they are accompanied by istiqamah.
Allah Ta'ala erases what He will and confirms, and with Him is the mother of the book. So understand the difference between the two kinds, for some people have become perplexed by those who possess unveilings without adherence to the rules of religion, such as prayer and other such things. Then he explained, may Allah Ta'ala spread his benefit, the various groups of people who are deceived by supernatural events that resemble karamat, demonstrating how the karama appears only at the hands of those possessed of rectitude. Then he says, these unveilings and informing of hidden things that resemble the karamat of the virtuous have corrupted the conditions of the people in this time of ours, for they are preoccupied with such superstitions and are distracted by them away from the book of Allah Ta'ala and sunnah of his messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. May Allah Ta'ala's blessings and peace be upon him and his family, and from reflection over the works of the virtuous of previous generations. Therefore, be not deceived, O virtuous brother, by these supernatural events. Trust not those who exhibit them, for they may very well be exhibited by evil people who deceive others through them. Since these poor common people are of little knowledge, they believe these to be karamat, think highly of those who exhibit them, and are led astray unaware by following
And
them.
here, read that line, if you can, please, 3 times. The lines you just read.
Since these poor common people are of little knowledge, they believe these to be karamat, think highly of those who exhibit them, and are led astray unaware by following them.
Mm-hmm.
Since these poor common people are of little knowledge, they believe these to be karamat, excuse me, think highly of those who exhibit them, and are led astray unaware by following them. However, to distinguish between the karamat.
So here, pay attention to this. So the common people, and poor here, not meaning money, poor meaning unfortunate, right? They are led astray by such deceitful uh, events and unveilings or practices due to their lack of knowledge of the sacred law. And that shouldn't be taken lightly. Many of the calamities and situations that we find us in terms of being misguided or deceived, comes for lack of knowledge of the sacred law. So to remove ourselves from that, it is important that we learn our Sunni tradition as it has been conveyed to us from the people of the past. Every time you listen to somebody today, weigh them by the great, pious, righteous people of the past. If you make that a scale for yourself and you learn the way of those pious people, you'll always be able to detect when someone's going in a wrong direction, either to the extreme or to deficiency, right? In any way, if you have that as a scale, you'll be able to weigh. We live in a time where classical, traditional Sunni Islam is being compromised. We live in that time. So be careful of this. We are Sunni. A Sunni is Ash'ari, Maturidi, Hanafi, Maliki, Shafi'i, Hanbali, and people of Tasawwuf. We're talking about Sunnis, Ahl-Sunnati wal Jama'ah. No, that's the classical definition of a Sunni. That's how our scholars understood a Sunni. Our main scholars all fit within that scope. And whoever went outside of that was considered a person of innovation, a person who left the Jamhur al-Ummah, the majority of this nation. That's how our scholars understood it. There's always individuals in every time that differed from the majority of the Muslim nation. That always happens. And some of them were very intelligent people who gained the knowledge. But even in their time and the times that followed them, they were considered as departing from the general body of Ahl-Sunnati wal Jama'ah, and the scholars of their time and the time after them warned the people against those ideas where they deviated from Ahl-Sunnati wal Jama'ah. Right? That's your scale. We live in a time where people are leaving that. They're not following that. They follow a part of it. And then they make what they want as my thought of it. I don't care about your thoughts. I don't, honestly, right? If you just say these are my thoughts and this is the majority of the Muslim nation, that's one thing. But when you make your thoughts and mix it to the majority of the Muslim nation, this is an error. And that's the scale by which we should weigh things. What has been the practice of the majority of this nation, which is represented by the majority of our scholars? That's it, right? And this is how you're going to recognize these things. But if it can be where we are scared to be Sunni, and when I say scared, I'm not going to beat you up. We're shy to speak of our Sunni tradition, and it becomes that it's frowned upon to speak of our Sunni tradition, we in trouble. A Sunni Muslim, Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, in Aqidah are Al Asha'ira and Maturidiyah. That's a Sunni. In fiqh, they are Hanafi, Maliki, Shafi, Hanbali. And they follow one of the various ways and practices of a tasawwuf. That is a Sunni. Traditionally, that has been a Sunni. That's what the scholars have known the Sunnis to be. That doesn't say that others are not Muslim. That's not what is understood. Others that may still be within the fold of Islam, but they're not counted as Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. And then within Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, you have extremes. They are Ahl Sunnah, but they are extreme in one way, too much, overboard. And sometimes they're extreme in being too deficient. Rodney King Sunnis. You have those. And then you have those who are too far to the right, and those too far to the left. And then there is the majority of Ahl Sunnah, which is balanced in the middle, right? That's what we're looking for. What is that balanced Sunni way, right? Not too far this way and not too far that way. The balanced middle of Sunni Islam. Is this point clear for y'all? Because I'm not one of those who are going to apologize in this issue, right? We're not going to compromise our tradition just to get along. We're not going to do that. That doesn't mean we're not going to try to work with others. That's a whole nother story. But in terms of start to tear down the fortress of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah to get along, we're not going to do that. No. But definitely we want to find ways that we could work together, areas of common ground. And yes, we should do that. It's a must that we do that. But at the same time, don't change the definitions of what our scholars have conveyed to us. Right? So there's a big difference in the two. And here, the reason why we do that is a little bit of knowledge and not realizing our tradition fully. And then it opens the door for deviants to get in. And we should be careful. Close that door. Right? Close the door. That doesn't mean be harsh. It means close the door. Right? You don't have to slam the door. Close it. Protect it. Lock it. I didn't say slam the door in somebody's face and break their hand. I didn't say that. Close it. Protect the home. Inshallah ta'ala. Go ahead.
However, to However, to distinguish between the karamat of the saints and these other phenomena can be difficult and only possible by considering the state of the person in question, the righteousness of his behavior, the strength of his adherence to his religion, and the excellence of his ways. Then you will never confuse the karamat of the good people with the temptation of the evil ones. But this is a fine science, so heed this and you will benefit, Allah Ta'ala, the exalted willing. We have quoted the above in full because it shows the difference between the supernatural event wrought at the hands of an upright man and that at the hands of others.
Right.
Imam al-Yafi'i, rahimahullah, may Allah Ta'ala have mercy on him, also made a thorough study of this subject in his Rawd, explaining it at length near the end of his first paragraph of the conclusion.
Mm.
He said, may Allah Ta'ala be pleased with him, the people of passionate attachment, footnote number 48, the person described as people of passionate attachment to Allah Ta'ala are the ecstatics who are under the sway of such powerful spiritual states that they lose control to a greater or lesser extent over their world sight behavior. Since great saints are usually masters of their states and allow very little of their inward life to appear outwardly, it it this is it's this group of ecstatics that may pose a problem to the observer since some of their behavior may seem questionable. The people of passionate attachment are innumerable and their karamat are also innumerable. However, it may happen that some pretend to be like them who are not and falsely claim that they belong to them when they do not. For there will always be among people those who are truthful and those who are untruthful, those who are obedient and those who are corrupt, the Siddiq and the Zindiq.
Right. So there's always going to be this uh, opposite. Wherever you have pious, you have the wretched, right? That always exists. But the scale by which you're going to weigh that is the sacred law as it was conveyed to us. Listen, I have to highlight this point because I know I see a lot. I see a lot, especially online. There is a way our religion reached us, right? And we have to learn that well so we would distinguish when someone is conveying our tradition properly or when they have some things right and some things that are outside our tradition, not what I think, right? This is not our tradition. This way you're conveying, it's not our tradition, right? And I don't have to say we have to be, we have to be contextual. I got that. But we don't deviate from our tradition. So it's very important to distinguish between the two, to know the tradition, right? And that's especially in our communities, that's a lot of work we still have to do. Because people, because of the mass amount of information through the internet, where there is freedom to do whatever you want for everyone, no one is excluded from this, it makes it more challenging for the common person to distinguish between all these things. So the people of Ahl Sunnah have to be very explicit, right, to know what is our tradition, right? We have to be explicit, right? That way the person can see, oh, this is a Sunni, this is how the Sunnis do it, right? It's very important. Now,
If you say that this will lead to confusion, for people differ, some have base attributes and others sublime gifts, so how can one who does not distinguish between them,
who does not know?
and how can one who does not know distinguish between them? I will say that the answer has appeared to me in both its expanded and brief forms. He goes on to detail the long answer, then says, as for the brief answer, it is to say that people are of three kinds: a kind in which we believe, a second in which we do not believe, and a third about whom we remain in doubt. The first kind we believe in for one of three reasons: that whatever his outward appearance may suggest, the people of the inward believe in him. Number two, that he does not persist in any reprehensible activity. Number three, or that he is seen to exhibit both religious conformity and supernatural events with their necessary conditions, even while persisting in some kind of apparently reprehensible behavior. The second kind we
Right. So
reject.
here, sometimes the wali may have things that outwardly you can't clearly understand, but the people of his rank, they accept him, like Sheikh al Akbar, right? For instance. And They have istiqamah and they have karamat, which is the normal thing. So even though they have some questionable things that you may doubt, in general, they're following the way of the sacred law. Mm.
The second kind we reject for three reasons together. Number one, persisting knowingly in something reprehensible in religious terms. Number two, no supernatural events appear on him. Number three, we have no knowledge that the people of inward knowledge believe in him. The third
When we say
kind,
believe in him, meaning they accept his status of piety, despite those matters that are not clear that come from them, right? So, like Imam al Haddad, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, even though he mentioned in some of his works to stay away from certain books of the knowers of Allah, those people who are of the inward, but he didn't deny their status. He just said that their works are not to be read by those who are not of their rank to avoid confusion and temptation. But he did not deny their status. Mm.
The third kind we passed no judgment on for three reasons together. Number one, supernatural events are observed from him. Number two, we know nothing of his state. Number three, persisting knowingly in something reprehensible. Such a person we may discuss things with and inquire about until it becomes clear whether he is a virtuous or corrupt person, at which point we would treat him accordingly. If things remain unclear, then if the reprehensible act he persists in is serious, we avoid the person. If not, we may socialize with him. And Allah Ta'ala knows best. This is the summary of the long version and is about its seventh in length, but contains all the rulings in it. That which I said about he whose state is unclear is only for complete caution, for the Siddiq, saint, and the truthful virtuous man cannot be confused with the Zindiq, magician, or the corrupt soothsayer, except that they can be distinguished after the shortest of meetings, or even simply on sight. For the signs of the drawn near righteous people are not the same as those of the heretics and the corrupt. Here ends what we intended to convey, and Allah Ta'ala knows best.
And we'll stop here for today. Uh, Tomorrow, we're going to read this book, maybe tomorrow and Monday. Uh, we want, so we're going to try to start early if possible, if Allah gives us tawfiq, like maybe 7:15, if we can. Uh, so be prepared for that, if Allah facilitates, so that we can get most of this book read. Uh, what I want to do is, while we're reading these big books, I don't want us to get distracted from what we must know. So we need to have, like, weekly, a day in which we read about our obligatory knowledge, at least in a brief way. And this is a constant thing, so it stays in our mind, right? Like, it's just the, that day we relax and review in the obligatory knowledge. That must be consistent, because what happens is, if we keep reading Sufism and Hadith and those things, we forget our obligations, and then we put the obligations to the side like they're not a priority, and they are the most important priority, right? In the practical manner. So we need to constantly review in that, right? So tomorrow, hopefully, inshallah, we can do at least half of the book, and maybe Monday, uh, do some more and then go back. But I would be negligent if I don't do that. And I'm seeing the need of it, right? We need textual study. We cannot just do lectures and entertainment. We need to study our religion. slowly but surely, inshallah. And come December, so you're all aware, we will be starting our online subscription-based private studies through Masjid Muhammad, in which we will be going into details that we don't do online. But it's a subscription-based format, a monthly subscription, and there will be lessons. I will be sharing my notes uh, and others that are not just for the general uh, masses. It's more for people who are really dedicated to helping us further this mission. Uh, and so I also recognize that everyone will not be able to afford it. So as a family, what I'm going to ask is that we help fund some who are serious. And we're going to measure that through the classes. You'll see, because if they're not serious, we're going to send them to the general classes that we do every day, right? But in these classes, you will have to study. It's not entertainment. And if we sense that you are just into the entertainment business, or edutainment, should I say, we're going to send you to the general classes that we have that are for everyone. Because these classes are designed to produce people who really understand this methodology of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. And we're going to be giving things that I never give out in general. So inshallah, that will be coming in December. So we will start registration for that in the next week or two. So for those who have been looking for that, it's almost done. And we will be announcing it. A flyer should be coming out soon, and we will be announcing it. And I encourage you to participate. It's for your benefit, and it will not be something you would regret. Now, but it's for those who are really dedicated. Inshallah ta'ala. May Allah make it easy. Inshallah, we'll see you tomorrow. Inshallah ta'ala. Barakallahu bikum. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Oh, there is a question. Go ahead, Jihad. Go ahead with your question. I believe the fee is like $100 a month, if I'm not mistaken. Even if I'm mistaken, it's $99 a month, because sometimes they have this marketing thing where instead of saying 100, they say 99. I think it's like $100 a month. The program will have Aqidah, Fiqh, Tasawwuf, Hadith, Quran. All of that will be in the program. And there will be books that are studied. But most of it will be my own private notes. So it won't be necessarily something you're going to get somewhere else, because it's my own private curriculum. You won't get what I'm going to give you. Trust me, nowhere will you find what I'm going to do. You may find things similar, but this is going to be my own personal journey that I'm sharing with you. From everything I learned and where I would think from experience To make you a sound Sunni Muslim, I'm going to give you that. So they're going to be explanations of books we did that you never heard these explanations. So say like this book, the way I'm going to teach and explain is going to be something that you never heard in relation to that book. Even things that we covered, notes that I never shared with you, all of that will be a part of it. Uh, you don't need to know Arabic, but you're going to learn some Arabic, and it would be suitable if you begin to learn Arabic as well. It will be extremely helpful, but it's not a condition. But you definitely, if you want to maximize the benefit, you're going to be able to need to read Arabic. That doesn't mean you won't benefit, but if you want to maximize it, yes, you're going to, because some of the books that we're going to study are in Arabic. I'm going to translate, but you still want to follow, right? You want to be able to understand. So some of the books, many of the books are in Arabic. They're not in English. That's why I'm telling you there's going to be information that you never heard, because the books that I'm going to be teaching from are mostly Arabic books that are not readily available on the market. Uh, the class is suited for beginners because I don't believe none of us are advanced, right? We think we advanced. I'm not advanced. So we're going to go from beginners to intermediate to advanced. So for all of us, we're going to take the journey. So even if you think you advanced, you're going to go back to a beginner. I know we think we advanced. I disagree with us, but but I know we all think we scholars. I know, but we're not. So even the advanced one is going to go plug in the holes he got in his beginning. Uh, and I've been thinking that's why it's taken me so long. Because it has taken so long because I know it needs to be done, and I also realize some of us don't have the energy to do it. The most difficult thing for us is admitting that we need to learn. That's the hardest part. If we get past that, we just flow. But it's hard. Many of us have a problem with saying, I don't know. I need to learn. I'm past that. I know you passed this portion, but you missed this. So therefore, even though you advance, because you missed this, you go back to the beginning class. We have our own platform. We have our own platform. It's not like we'll have our own platform that we're using, our private platform. So you won't be able to get it on Facebook or YouTube. It's our own private platform. So it won't be on like YouTube or Facebook. You can't follow. You have to register and you have to come to our platform. But inshallah, it will work. May Allah make it a success. But it's something that needs to be done because, with these platforms, they could just shut us down. And that's the end of that. You and all your content and everything else. But by this way, we, inshallah, will do much better. But now we're going to see the real 3453 family. We'll see who's really like all that's just not talk. We'll find that core group that really, really is dedicated to what we're doing. We'll separate them. But that doesn't mean we're still going to do what we're doing, but we're looking for really to take that to a next level. And the ones who can't afford and are serious, the family will help them, inshallah. The family will come together to help, right? Those who are serious and can't afford it, the family will help them, like we've always done, right? I believe in us, right? But we're going to make sure that the family don't waste their money on someone who's not serious. So even though the family is going to give a commitment, right? But the person who's receiving that commitment, that support, has to be serious, right? Right. We want to help you, but we want to help you do the right thing, not waste. So may Allah make it easy. All right, that's just so you be prepared. So you're going to be going into a monthly commitment. So save your money. Save your money. Barakallahu bikum wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.